everyone, it's me, Christina, and I wanted to talk about when you're first diagnosed, some words of encouragement and some advice how to handle the diagnosis. Originally I wasn't going to put a family part in this, but only because my family, I never had that kind of experience, but kind of talking to other people and kind of whatever experience I did have, I kind of summed it up and what my family not to do. I chose what you should not do based on my family experience and turned it into a positive, like what you should do. Let's start with the family. I want to start with that no one is to blame for the person's mental illness. I know it feels like you want to blame like bad parenting or drugs, and some people are just born with mental illness and you can't always blame. There's not always a reason for someone to be blamed. Sometimes things just happen for a reason, and maybe it happens for a reason. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Another thing is you cannot cure the person. I know you want to cure the person. It's so tempting. You want to shove down like kind of medicines and treatments and all this good stuff, but sometimes it's not beneficial. My aunt, when I first had anxiety or depression, she got me Be Nice and pills, and John's Wort pills. And what they basically did is they raised the dopamine levels, I believe. I'm not sure about this, so don't quote me. But they're supposed to make you feel better. They actually gave me really severe anxiety, and they kind of made me feel worse. So I don't recommend that from personal experience. You kind of have to understand that the road to mental illness is keep steps. It's day by day, and there's not just one cure. There's many alternative methods. You can do alternative therapies, regular therapy, clinicals work, Chinese medicine, for example, things like that. There's different ways. So one way to cure, and then trying to cure them, you trying to cure them can actually make them worse. So yeah, that would not end up very well. What else? Another advice for family is set up boundaries and limits. I know it's so hard. You just want to give them your all, but when you give them your all, you might feel resentment. Like, why aren't they appreciating what my efforts are? All this kind of negativity, and maybe that's not. Maybe you're just getting too close, and maybe that's time for you to step away and be like, this is my boundaries. This is, as much as I want to give you everything I can, I have to understand that I need to take care of myself as well. And that's pretty much it for the family. Some things that might help the family kind of deal when they first are entering the world of mental illness. It's very difficult thing. Yeah. For people who are diagnosed with mental illness, I wanted to talk to you about how it's hard for everyone to accept it. Don't feel like just because you don't accept it, it's no one else, you're the only person. It's hard for a lot of people to accept it and understand that mental illness is something that is a part of their life now. I say a lot, don't I? Okay. No ums. Maybe it's time, as well as maybe it's time to revise expectations of yourself. Shit. It's time to revise expectation of yourself. Maybe, trying to do that cake upside down with your fraternity brothers isn't the best idea to do, because you don't want to mix your medications with alcohol, because that will cause and interaction. Interaction might be bad or just bad. You're not defined by this disorder. I hope you do realize that. It's kind of hard at first when you first go through this, because you want to be like, all you see is this, and you can't see your life sometimes through this at first. I know that I just felt like this is never ending. I can't get through this. This is all my life is going to be, is this focusing on mental illness. And now that after I've come, and that was when I wasn't accepting of my mental illness, is that I felt that that maybe my diagnosis is wrong, and maybe that, you know, it's like it was not my problem, it's not who I was, but in a negative way. Now that I realize that it is something that I have to take responsibility for, and that after I take responsibility for it, I can manage it in ways that the mental illness does not define me anymore. So when you take responsibility and you kind of accept the fact that you do have mental illness, it kind of helps ease the feeling that you're defined by it when you're not. You see a way out, and that's always an encouraging thing to see, is when you realize that, you know, maybe because I suffer from depression, it doesn't mean that I'm any less of a mother or any less of a sister. Things like that. And I think the hardest thing when you have mental illness is you feel alone, and you can't really, sometimes I felt that I couldn't describe this aloneness, and even though I did, my friends were there to support me, that they didn't really understand what it was like to go through mental illness and understand what this diagnosis meant for me, because they just think that, oh, depression is, your cure is something that it'll go away and you'll never have to deal with it ever again. But it's something that I will have to deal with all my life, and it's something that it can be scary, but when you realize that there's so many people out there who also suffer too, who also are trying to go through mental illness as well, that they're not alone, because they have support groups, there's family, friends, there's doctors who are supporting, there's definitely many online forums you can go on that help support you. So don't be afraid to be outreach there. Do your research and look out for people who are there for you. It's definitely a good start to realize you're not alone, and kind of start life and realize, you know, I'm part of a community who is willing to help each other out. So it's always a great thing. So that's all about it. I know that's not a lot as like my advice for coping with loneliness, but I just wanted to put something out there before it got dark. It's Halloween, so I hope you all have a great Halloween. Thank you.